Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the topic for today, gloves in Airsoft. Now, you may not think about gloves when you first get into Airsoft. Sorry, I've just been for a run and thought I'll just film this very quickly as I get back, so I'm a bit sweaty. Hope you guys had a great weekend. So Airsoft gloves. I probably, when I first started playing Airsoft, and if I talk to players now, they don't necessarily think about this. And I think that this could actually be one of the most important things to really enjoy your airsoft day. It's not paintball, and obviously a lot of people in paintball say you need to wear your paintball mask and your paintball gloves. But BBs, airsoft BBs, the little 6mm plastic balls can really hurt. Now, I would say most of the time I probably could get away without wearing gloves. If you're playing in an outdoor field, if you're playing far away from each other, you're not getting close. Maybe you're playing as a sniper. You may want to camouflage your hands, so gloves might be a great idea. But it's not going to hurt that much if you get hit from distance and a couple of BBs bounce off your hand. However, if you are going into close quarters, if you're in any way, close enough that it's going to hurt you on the body, if it's going to hit your arm and hurt, the knuckles are probably the most painful place, in my opinion, to be hit with an airsoft BB. I have bled out of my knuckles before having done that. I've definitely, it's kind of one of those things where you get hit on it or clipped on it, and it's just one of those really painful feelings. It will feel fine after a while, but you'll remember it, and for the next week or so, you'll see some big kind of red welt on here, or it'll probably bleed because it is that close just to, where the bone is, like that skin on bone. A lot of the times, when it's literally a BB just hitting that or nicking it, you're going to get some blood on there. So I would definitely recommend wearing gloves. And there are a whole load of different gloves that you could look at. Generally, there are actually gloves that are made for airsoft and for paintball. But I would say with airsoft, you don't necessarily need the full level of protection that you do with a paintball glove. When I first started playing in the UK, when I was 13, 14, bought the gloves that they had at the site at the time, and you may be aware of them, you may have seen them. It was almost like a glove, and it had like a kind of plastic exoskeleton kind of thing to it. It wasn't very advanced in any way. It was literally like a sheet of plastic just with like small cuts here, and it had the fingers cut off it. So it did not have any, my fingers were exposed, and then the rest of this was a very bulky plastic topped glove. Now, it was great because it did protect the back of my hands and my knuckles if I got shot in the hand. However, my fingers were exposed. And because it was such a bulky glove, it was very difficult you could get versions which had the end of your fingers covered. The problem is that getting that into the actual, onto the trigger, into the trigger guard could be very difficult depending on which replica you were using. So I went for the ones without fingers. It was fine. It was playing in the UK, and the UK does get cold in winter, so you would get very cold fingertips. But it worked. It did its thing. Since I started playing more recently, even when I still played back there, but generally when I've played Airsoft for most of the time I've ever played it, I've gone for something which are more like these. Now, these are gloves that are built for, they're real steel, effectively, gloves. They're used by people who go to firing ranges. They're used by police, by militaries, by anyone who is actually using a firearm, and these are really designed to be used that way. Now, obviously, they're not going to have the same level of protection on them that those kind of plastic edged ones are. And maybe if you're playing in the CQB field and you're younger and you really don't want to get hurt, or you don't want to feel that pain in any way, you may want to go for one of those armored glove versions. They're absolutely fine to use. They just may be a bit more clunky, but I opt to go for something more like this. Now, I would say this brand, Mechanix, is probably the most popular brand that I see out. It is a very, very definitive design. As you can see, Mechanix is written here. If you have the black glove, then it's got kind of like a white Mechanix written on it, which for me is like the worst thing possible in terms of camouflage. Oh, by the way, George is here. If any of you guys have followed the channel for a long time, back in 2020, 5 years ago, George would be... Obviously, he's not that keen on being in the video anymore. He would be in the video every single time when I did an unboxing. He is around at the moment, so I thought I'd just stick him in the background, but he's now gone. So, goodbye, George. So this is a very popular brand. You also do see these being used by real steel forces a lot. So I think for that kind of milsim feeling, a lot of people do like using them. These are the Mechanix gloves. These are the originals. So it's kind of cool where, you know, I play in a hotter environment. It's definitely got, you know, it's got the rubber fit to it, which is great. These stretch, so it's absolutely fine. It has this kind of breathable material there. And underneath it has like a very hard wearing, almost feels like a kind of leather, you know, leather style, I don't know what you would call it, like a leather material. It also has a lot of give here, like that's the edge of the thumb right there. Again, it's got kind of breathability along the fingers, and I like how these are actually like covered the entire way around, so it's almost like that trigger finger cover, so when it's sticking out the end. Oh, he's back! Hi, George! Right, this is me again. And again, it's got this wrap around, got a little hook on it, so that you can attach your two gloves together. What I do actually have on my battle belt is I have a little hook. So what I find sometimes if I'm going to the safe zone or I'm doing something where I need to take my gloves off, I have a real habit of losing them, or I'll put one on the side and it'll be behind a speed loader or go under my bag or something like that. And I'll be looking around like, where is this? Trying to get ready before I actually go out into the field. So it might be worth having a couple of pairs of gloves just in case. I actually like having black ones and tan ones. I play outside in Southern California, so this is a lot more camo. But actually, if I'm playing indoors, I do quite like... I don't know if I like the look of this as much as an indoor field as I do black, so I vary. So these are the Mechanix ones. I actually don't wear these as much as I thought I would. They're very well built. This is rubberized, so it's very easy to get hold of. You can see some paintball paint there from where I've played at a paintball field. Yeah, I mean, they're great gloves. They're a little bit more bulky, however, for me than what I like. I've gone through testing different gloves, and generally my play style has led me to these. Now, this is a tan one. This is a black one. These are the same gloves. I would say it's kind of one of those gloves. They're called the Magpul, and I'm such a Magpul fanboy. I buy Magpul everything. It's the technical glove, lightweight. So they have a couple of options of this. They have a more heavy version, which has a lot more material on the top. That's a great version as well. But I would say that's very, very similar to this Mechanix style version. This, I think you're going to do great with. Like, if you just want to find an airsoft glove, you want it to do everything, Mechanix is amazing. So just go with that. That's my advice. Anyway, but this is a lot thinner. Now it's the lightweight model. Again, I play in a hot environment most of the time, so I don't necessarily need protection from the cold. Like for me, my hands getting sweaty is annoying and it's not a good thing. I'd much rather actually just have something a lot more lightweight and something which just gives me the most dexterity. Now this has got like, I don't know if I can get this across on camera, but the actual material is just super, super thin. Very, very lightweight, very thin. It doesn't have an adjustable strap. It just has this, it's almost like not wetsuit material, like very kind of thin material that will just kind of grip around the top of your hand. Again, it's got hooks, but they're not as good. They're not easy to hook like these ones are, but that's fine. And what I actually do like is like, it doesn't have that, you know, like that covering over the top, but it does on these two fingers have these little black points here. And the great thing with those is that you can control your phone. So it's kind of that touchscreen, you know, you can find some gloves that have it, but I think actually some skiing and snowboard gloves have that recently. But it means that if you are, you know, using your phone to like look at the map, communications, whatever it is, that allows you then to actually just scroll on the screen, which is so much more useful than having to take the glove off and then go through the process of like, you know, moving that around while holding your glove, then actually putting it back on. Having that, I think, is great. This doesn't have that. I think you might be able to do that occasionally. But for me, in a game day, this is great. This is very pliable, this material, this elastic. So that stretches tons. I'll show you what it looks like. I have quite big hands, so you can get these in different sizes. And I would say probably go bigger rather than smaller, because if it's too small, it's really not going to fit you. Slightly too big, it's going to be fine. But for me, like that gives me a great grip actually on my replica. It's very easy for me to draw a pistol with that. Like it's got tons of breathability. It's very thin. Now, being thin, it's not going to protect you in the same way that a thicker glove like this is. Like this is obviously going to have more impact zone. So with that, like that's kind of the comparison there, if that gives you guys an idea. Like you can see here, I can just squeeze that very easily. This is very easy. That is a lot harder to, not harder, but it just pulls a lot more. So like I absolutely love these gloves, if you can't tell. They're basically what I will use for everything now. I think if I'm doing maybe like a milsim where it's going to be overnight and it's going to get cold, I'd probably end up going with these. But generally, if I'm going for a day gameplay, this is going to be it. But however, as I was saying, this is not going to defend your hand nearly as well as that glove is going to. Which means if you get hit on the hand or on the knuckles, it's going to hurt. But just having that little bit of material there makes so much difference. Like if it's on skin, it's really going to hurt and it's going to cut. If you've got this on there, I don't think I've ever had a bleeding cut. Like I definitely haven't, because there's no blood on these, or I haven't had to wash blood off them. But I have had bruises. Like I've had bruises, you know, they're annoying, but that is gonna help a lot. So I'd love to know your guys' opinions on gloves. Like, do you wear gloves when you play? You know, do you prefer not to play in gloves? Have you had any bad experiences? This is the black version. Have you had any bad experiences with getting shot in the hand? Like that for me is great. So that's my indoor, you know, like if I'm playing if I play Battle Lab, the indoor place, it's like, you know, night game, it's dark inside. I don't normally wear multicam. I'm going to wear something a bit different. So these are my go-to for that. But yeah, I mean, also there's another thing to mention. If you've got a gas grenade and it goes off in your hand, that's going to hurt a lot. This is also going to help with that. The other, also, like, because this is so dexterous, like pulling a pin out of that gas grenade is a lot easier. Like this is going to be possible, but it is going to be a lot more like finding the pin, making sure you get your finger in, pulling it out. So I'm a big fan of dexterity. Like for me, dexterity is a big thing. So these are, in terms of price, $26. And to be honest, I think these Mechanix ones are the exact same price. So it's probably, if you're looking for a really good set of gloves, in my opinion, you're running at like $20 to $30. And so I think, you know, it's an investment. It's going to be annoying to have that, but you can wash these very easily. They're going to stand up. If you're buying something cheap, it's probably going to break a lot faster. Like the stitching's going to go. So I would say like do that thing where it's like buy once, cry once. You know, it's going to hopefully just be that you buy one pair and you're fine. If you're buying like a cheapish version, like a repro, you may have to buy multiple versions and it's going to end up costing you a lot more money in the long run. So those are my thoughts on that, guys. I think it's $24 and $26. So either one of those I would highly recommend. There are definitely other glove brands out there. And if you're watching again, put those down below so everyone can see it. I'll put a link right now below to both of these. There'll be the Amazon link so you can just click through and buy them directly. But again, I love both of these. They come in different colors, and I've always just gone back and bought these the same. So that's my thoughts on Airsoft gloves, guys. I hope you have a great day wherever you are. George? Nah, he's not going to talk to us. Anyway, I will see you on the next video, and hopefully George will be there too. Goodbye.